My narcissistic mom and jealous sister tried to trick my husband into leaving me for my infertile sister. Their plan was for sis to marry him, take my kids, and cut me off. My life feels so messed up that I don't know where to begin. I had an abusive childhood, and it took me 20 years to overcome it. Now, it seems like I'm back at square one and have to start the healing process all over again. I'm a 31-year-old woman, and my mom has been abusive ever since we were born. There are three of us siblings: my brother, who's 29, my sister, who's 28, and me. Our dad left when I was 5 after a massive argument with mom. Mom always had anger issues, going nuts over minor inconveniences. The earliest memory of my childhood involves physical fights between mom and dad. Mom would throw things at him and he'd try to dodge, but after getting hit, he'd throw stuff back. It might sound funny to some, but it was terrifying for a child. They'd get hurt, sometimes bleed. It was traumatic to witness. Most nights, my siblings and I would cry ourselves to sleep. One day, Dad left. I don't even remember our last hug. Life became more terrible after that. Dad was the man of the house, and without him, random guys would show up. Some gave my sister and me weird looks, others fought with mom and broke things. As I grew up, some tried to grope me when mom wasn't around. I didn't understand it but knew it felt wrong. Mom was always in a bad mood, impossible to talk to. She barely had time for us, so we had to do most things ourselves. Being the eldest, I bore the brunt. Mom drank and came home late, asleep when we woke up. I made breakfast and school lunches for myself and my siblings. When we came back from school, Mom was out working and returned late at night. My brother helped sometimes, but mostly I was on my own. Weekends were worse. Mom would bring men home, lock herself in her room, and only come out to yell or beat us when she heard us fighting. My brother ran away at 11. Mom didn't care. He worked at a store a mile away, but she never reported him or brought him back. I also ran away, but she reported me, and the cops brought me back. I was too scared to tell the cops the whole truth. When my sister turned 12, she ran away with her 18-year-old boyfriend. Mom didn't report her either. I was 15 and rebellious, fighting with Mom about why she let others leave but not me. She shed fake tears, claiming I was her favorite, but the truth was she kept me because I was useful. I took care of the house, cooked, cleaned, and did chores. She exploited me while my brother and sister were of no use to her. Finally, I ran away for good. It's been 15 years, and I haven't seen Mom since. Now I'm married with 2 daughters. Looking back, I can't fathom how my mom let those things happen. I'm so protective of my girls, always vigilant, even around their grandfather and uncles. I've been in touch with my siblings since I got married 10 years ago. My brother is married but has no kids, while my sister is single. My brother barely contacts us, only calling or texting on important occasions. When my first daughter was born, Dad texted me. He'd been following us on social media through a fake account. He called and apologized for abandoning us. Initially, I was mad at him for leaving us in hell. He said he had no choice but to escape Mom's abuse and violence. He could have reported Mom and fought for custody, but chose to run away. I sought therapy and eventually forgave him. But we have minimal contact, just a few emails or calls a year. I'm closer to my sister, talking more often. 5 or 6 years ago, Mom reached out, wanting to reconcile. My brother slammed the door in her face, saying he wanted nothing to do with her. I didn't answer her calls or texts, and she didn't show up at my door. My sister, however, chose to reconcile, believing forgiveness would help her heal. She thinks Mom has changed, but I refuse to let her back in my life. Next month is Mom's 50th birthday, and my sister proposed reconciling. I was shocked. She knows the pain I've been through. My siblings had me as their protective shield. I had no one. I suffered the most. I asked my sister if she remembered how Mom beat me despite all my work. She remembered but insisted we should erase those sad memories. Mom is a changed person now, she said. I refused, and she got mad, accusing me of holding a grudge. She mocked my therapy, saying it was a waste because I wasn't over the past. I discussed this with my husband, who also suggested moving on and reconciling. Now I'm doubting if my feelings are valid or if I'm being overly dramatic. My sister lives 4 hours away, and we usually talk over the phone. 2 weeks ago, she showed up at my house unannounced, hugged me, and kept circling back to the importance of family and forgiveness. I told her if she was trying to manipulate me to reconcile with Mom, it wasn't happening. She defended Mom, saying she missed me and wanted to be around her grandchildren. I said if Mom missed me so much, why hadn't she contacted me? My sister asked if I'd forgive Mom if she reached out. I didn't know. I didn't want her to contact me, so I dropped the idea. My sister called me a bummer and mocked me in front of my husband. As Mom's birthday approached, my sister pestered me to show up at the party. I stood firm, threatening to cut her off if she insisted. Yesterday, Mom showed up at my house. Seeing her was like seeing a ghost. Mom barged in asking for my grandchildren. I blocked her, sending my girls to their room. Mom got mad, calling me vindictive like Dad. I told her I was in touch with Dad and not her. She freaked out, saying Dad abandoned us while she raised us. I said yes. I was soft on Dad and resentful of her. She called me emotionally weak and only there for her granddaughters. I said I wouldn't let her near my children. She got offended and shouted. She hadn't changed. I asked her to leave or I'd call the cops. She left and I'm still angry. That night I told my husband about Mom's visit. He got mad, asking why I couldn't move on like my sister. He said my sister and I had the same past, but she moved on, while I was stuck. Later, my sister called, also mad. She argued it was unfair that Dad was in my life despite abandoning us, but Mom was cut off. She said Mom raised us, not Dad. I said Dad was wrong too, but he apologized, unlike Mom. Forgiveness doesn't work without an apology. My sister called me egoistic and hung up. I was upset, feeling misunderstood. Even my husband dismissed my feelings. For a week, he was unusually silent. Then he confessed he'd gone to Mom's 50th birthday party. I flipped out, feeling betrayed. He said my sister texted him that night saying Mom was crying herself to sleep because I wouldn't let her meet her grandchildren. She insisted he attend Mom's party to cover for me, and he did. He said Mom called him for dinner and told him not to inform me. My sister was already drunk and flirted with him, bad-mouthing me. Mom supported her, saying they look sweet together and should marry. My sister has a medical condition and can't conceive, so Mom suggested my husband marry her and get custody of my girls. My husband walked away. My sister kept texting him, asking him out and sending inappropriate pictures. He showed me the messages, and I believed him. He apologized, and I forgave him on the condition he confronted them in front of me. He called my sister, and she came with Mom thinking he'd leave me. He repeated the story, and my sister denied some parts, but it was mostly true. My sister blamed Mom, saying it was her idea. Mom sat frozen, and my sister yelled at her for always hating me. I chased them out. My sister cried, promising she wouldn't do it again, but I cut her off. I blocked her, and my husband and I went to couple therapy. It was helpful. I doubted my husband but realized not all men are cheaters. He's been my rock, helping me rebuild my life. Now we're moving forward, stronger than ever. As I was reflecting on these events, memories of my childhood kept flooding back. Mom was always harsh and unyielding. When I was little, she would scream at us for the smallest things. I remember one time, I was only 8, and I accidentally spilled milk on the floor. Mom went into a rage, screaming at me and calling me worthless. She grabbed me by the arm and yanked me so hard that I fell and bruised my knee. She didn't even care. All she did was continue yelling about how I was a burden. My brother Sam was often out of the house, playing with his friends or working small jobs to get away from Mom. My sister Jenny was Mom's favorite, probably because she looked more like her. Jenny had Mom's brown eyes and curly hair, while I had Dad's blue eyes and straight hair. I think looking at me reminded Mom too much of Dad, and she took her anger out on me. When I was 10, I started to notice the men Mom brought home more. They were always rough-looking, smelling of booze and smoke. Some of them were nice enough, but others gave me and Jenny the creeps. One night, when I was around 12, one of Mom's boyfriends tried to touch me. I was so scared. I told Mom, but she didn't believe me. She said I was making it up to get attention and slapped me across the face. From then on, I knew I couldn't trust her with my safety. By the time I was 15, I had enough. I was tired of the abuse, the neglect, and the constant fear. I had started working at a local diner, saving up whatever little money I could. One night, after another one of Mom's outbursts, I packed a small bag and ran away. I didn't have a plan, just the desperate need to get away. I stayed with a friend for a while, then moved from place to place, working odd jobs and trying to survive. It was during this time that I met Tom, my husband. He was kind, gentle, and everything I needed. He helped me find a job at his dad's store, and slowly, I started to put my life together. His parents were like the family I never had. They were supportive and loving, treating me like their own daughter. For the first time in my life, I felt safe. Tom and I got married a few years later. He knew about my past, but I don't think he fully understood the depth of my trauma until recently. We had two beautiful daughters, Emily and Sarah. They are my world, and I vowed to protect them from the kind of childhood I had. I was always on guard, making sure they were safe and loved. When Dad reached out after Emily was born, it stirred up a lot of emotions. I was angry at him for leaving, but a part of me understood. He had been a victim of Mom's abuse too. We talked a few times, and he apologized for everything. It took me a while, but I forgave him. We keep in touch, though not frequently. It's still a bit awkward, but at least there's some closure. The whole ordeal with Mom and Jenny trying to break up my marriage was like reopening an old wound. I couldn't believe they would stoop so low. Jenny's betrayal hurt the most. I thought we had a bond, having gone through so much together, but her actions showed me that I was wrong. After the confrontation, I decided to cut them out of my life for good. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was necessary for my peace of mind. Tom and I focused on healing and rebuilding our trust. The therapy sessions helped a lot. We learned to communicate better and understand each other's pain. I also realized the importance of setting boundaries and protecting my mental health. I started journaling my thoughts and emotions, which helped me process everything. I reached out to support groups for people with similar experiences, and it was comforting to know I wasn't alone. Sharing my story with others who understood was incredibly therapeutic. Life slowly returned to normal. Emily and Sarah were happy and thriving, unaware of the storm that had passed. I made sure to spend quality time with them, creating happy memories to overshadow the dark ones from my past. We went on family trips, had movie nights, and I cherished every moment. One day, out of the blue, Jenny tried to contact me again. She left a voicemail, sobbing and begging for forgiveness. She claimed she was manipulated by Mom and regretted everything. I listened to the voicemail, but I couldn't bring myself to call her back. I wasn't ready to open that door again. Instead, I focused on my family and my healing journey. Tom's parents continued to be a great support system. They adored Emily and Sarah, and we spent many weekends at their house, enjoying the simple pleasures of family life. A year after the incident, Tom and I decided to renew our vows. It was a way to reaffirm our love and commitment to each other. We invited close friends and family, excluding Mom and Jenny. It was a beautiful ceremony, filled with love and laughter. Standing there with Tom, I felt a sense of peace and hope for the future. Our renewed commitment also strengthened our relationship with Tom's parents. They were thrilled to see us so happy and supportive of our decision to cut toxic people out of our lives. They even offered to help us with the girls whenever we needed a break, giving us time to focus on ourselves. With time, I became more open about my past with trusted friends. Sharing my story helped me heal, and I found solace in knowing that my experiences could help others. I started volunteering at a local shelter for abused women, offering support and sharing my journey with those who needed it. The girls grew up in a loving and stable environment. They excelled in school and made friends easily. Watching them thrive was my greatest joy. Tom and I made sure to provide them with a nurturing home, filled with love, laughter, and security. As Emily and Sarah grew older, I shared bits of my past with them, age-appropriately. I wanted them to understand why I was so protective and why family meant so much to me. They listened, and their love and understanding made me realize how far I'd come. One evening, many years later, I received a letter from Jenny. She was in a rehabilitation center, seeking help for her emotional issues. She wrote about her struggles, her regrets, and how she was trying to turn her life around. She asked for my forgiveness, not expecting anything in return, but hoping to find peace. I read the letter several times, contemplating my response. It took a few days, but I eventually wrote back. I told her that while I wasn't ready to reconcile, I hoped she would find the healing she needed. I wished her well and encouraged her to continue her journey towards recovery. Life continued to move forward. Emily and Sarah graduated high school and went on to college. Tom and I felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing we had provided them with a strong foundation. Our love for each other grew stronger with each passing year, and we celebrated each milestone together. Reflecting on my past, I realized that my experiences had shaped me into a resilient and compassionate person. I had faced many challenges, but I had also found love, support, and happiness. My journey was far from over, but I felt equipped to handle whatever came my way. In the end, I learned that forgiveness and healing are personal journeys. They don't happen overnight, and they don't follow a set path. It's okay to set boundaries and protect yourself from toxic people, even if they are family. My story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of love and resilience.